Hello, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Natecast. On this, we're talking about this new Sonic movie trailer. It came out recently. From the time of recording this, it came out around 3 hours ago, maybe a little more than 3 hours. And there's a lot of mixed opinions on everything from Dr. Robotnik, the Jim Carrey Eggman, and then Sonic's voice actor. I've heard a lot of different things. I've seen a lot of different things, and I'm here to give my opinion on it. So, based on the trailer, I think they did a good job with putting all the elements of the trailer together and the way that they, I think, were intending. I think Sonic's voice actor is a little strange. I wasn't quite expecting that, but definitely not a bad thing necessarily. And I think this is going to be less of a movie about Sonic and more of a movie about Eggman, played by Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey also said that as well, that this is more of an Eggman origin story than a real Sonic movie, because in the trailer, for maybe 99% of the trailer, we have Jim Carrey, the Eggman. He doesn't look anything, well, he looks a little bit like from the games, but not quite. He's not bald yet. His mustache isn't quite shaped correctly. The goggles aren't exactly the correct goggles, so he looks very similar, but not quite exact. But then when we get to the end of the trailer, after the credits show up and everything like that, it's coming, I think it was November, it had an image or a very short sequence of Jim Carrey as the Eggman, who looks like Eggman from the games. So then it's kind of a mystery of how we get from point A to point B. And in the trailer, it seems like Eggman was at least some point, or is for this movie, some kind of government employee. But so after Sonic, he runs really fast because that's what he does. He ends up shorting out. I think it was the northern hemisphere, all the electricity, a huge power outage for a few minutes or something. I'm assuming it's a few minutes. It just says a power outage of some kind. So the government's trying to figure out what's happening. So they send in Dr. Robotnik, and he seems like he's definitely, I think, the best part of the trailer, and I think he's probably going to be one of the best parts of the movie in my opinion. I've seen a couple things online, and I definitely agree with it, where it's talking about how this Jim Carrey character is more like one of the older Jim Carrey characters, and the way that he just acts and is portrayed, which is definitely, I think, a good thing for this movie. And I like how for all the machines and everything that Dr. Robotnik has, they're just really, really detailed and really fine-tuned. The one thing I really don't get, and I don't know if I missed something or not, but one thing I don't get is why the rings, the ones that Sonic collects, are for some reason used as teleportation devices of some kind. I don't quite understand that. I did read a couple things online before the trailer came out, a few weeks ago. I was talking about how that was leaked out, or that people were saying that's what happened. The rings were used as teleportation devices of some kind. And in the trailer, we see whoever there's a police officer and whoever the other girl is who's with him. They end up getting teleported through one of the rings back to some house. I'm guessing teleported from danger, to safety. But I don't understand why the rings are teleportation devices. That's kind of strange to me. But I guess we'll see how it turns out when the movie comes out. Another thing that's kind of interesting is they didn't really they fleshed out, in the trailer, they really showed Eggman and the police officer and Sonic, and that was just kind of the connections and the socialization between them. And at some point, when the police officer character was talking to Sonic in his, I think it was a truck, he mentions, Sonic mentions that he's here to save the planet, but it never said what he's saving the planet from. It's definitely not saving the planet from Eggman, because he's not even Eggman yet, based on the trailer, and he's the one that's hunting down Sonic. So I'm not sure what kind of other, antagonists they're gonna throw into this movie to just kind of, whatever that Sonic's protecting the planet against. And then I feel like that's probably gonna have something to do with the final scene with Eggman, it looks like he's the one from the games at the very end of the trailer, because in that scene it looks like he's in some kind of like mushroom area, or like mushroom, maybe it's a planet, I don't really know, some kind of area with a lot of giant mushrooms, and I feel like that's going to have a connection to whatever this thing is, or these things are that Sonic's trying to protect the planet against. It's probably going to be some kind of like aliens or something like that, but it could be anything. This movie is, I don't think it's going to be as successful as like Detective Pikachu, which is probably going to end up being one of the best video game movies currently, but it's still, the Sonic movie still looks really good. I don't know how I feel about the rings teleporting. That's kind of strange still, but I think Eggman's going to be the best part of the movie. And Jim Carrey said as well that Eggman, this is more of like an Eggman origin story movie than it was a Sonic movie, like overall. I think I would still enjoy that. I might even enjoy that better than just a movie about just Sonic. I think that an Eggman origin movie kind of thing would be really cool to see. So I'm excited definitely for his character, his adaptation of Eggman or Dr. Robotnik, whichever one. I think it's definitely very old style, but it fits with the movie, I think. Another thing we currently don't know, based on the first trailer that released, there's rumors of more trailers being released, but I think we're going to have to wait at least a little bit for another one to drop out. But we don't know who this other girl character is who's with Sonic and the police officer character. We don't really know where she's coming from, anything about her other than just she's on the side of Sonic and the police officer, or at least it appears so. And I think another thing people were talking about from the trailer is the comedy of the trailer. Like one of the jokes was the police officer has Sonic in the bag, and Sonic's like wiggling around, and for that joke about the kidnapped child in a bag is what Sonic was, so that he didn't tell him it was like an alien or something like that. Which also, we don't know if, I'm not sure if Sonic is an alien, but he said he's come to save the planet, which I think would imply he's an alien, but he could have been like hibernating or hiding out somewhere, or like close by or something like that, but he might be an alien. But I think anyway, that joke with Sonic in the bag, it was executed decently well for what it was. It might not have been the best joke, like, out of, the history of jokes, or it's not like comedy gold, but it's certainly not terrible. And I think this is going to be definitely more of just action-packed comedy than really like a full-on, like, intense action, thriller or anything like that. I think that one thing that I'm really looking forward to is the interactions between Eggman and Sonic. And based on the trailer, it looks like they're going to be pretty interesting or pretty humorous. Like, by the way, I'll put the link to the trailer in the description as well, but you can definitely probably find it if you just search up Sonic trailer on YouTube or Google or whatever you want to look it up, depending what you want to find. But I think the interactions between Eggman and Sonic are definitely going to be something interesting to see, because that's kind of like the highlight of the movie, I feel. I feel like that's the thing that they're kind of working towards, and the thing that they're trying to put out the most. That's really what's going to draw a lot of people in. I don't see a lot of non-Sonic fans going to the movie necessarily. Maybe for Jim Carrey, like, again, with that name recognition, that if they like Jim Carrey, then they might like this movie. And I guess that's true, but I think the movie's going to be filled with more Sonic fans, and a lot of people who know the game and the character are going to end up going to the movie more than just regular, average Joe on the side of the road who's kind of interested in Jim Carrey or who likes Jim Carrey. And I think that that might end up hurting their sales a little bit for ticket sales and, opening night and everything like that. But I still think that this could be good. It just depends on if the movie is what we've seen, kind of what we've seen in the trailer. And then we also, there's supposedly multiple trailers already finished. We're just waiting for them to be released because there was, I believe it was at a convention of some kind a while ago that the trailers were shown to an audience, but they weren't allowed to bring in cell phones or any cameras or anything, so it couldn't be leaked out other than just, word of mouth. And so based on what some of those people have said, we know there's at least 2 trailers, possibly 3, but we don't know for sure because everyone tells a different story and it's just kind of trying to find the similarities between them all. And I think that if the movie ends up being like at least what this first trailer is and what hopefully the other trailers would be, I think it's not going to be, the best movie of the year, but it's certainly not going to be a bad one, and I think it'll be worth seeing. I'm certainly going to try to see it, and so far we don't have a specific release date, we just have sometime November of this year. So it's a little ways away, but not too far away, so they're definitely still working on it and still, fine-tuning everything, probably finishing up some last-minute stuff. So I think the movie will be interesting to see how it works out, because video game movies have been notoriously terrible. The first movie to really kind of break that idea of terrible movies is Rampage. Was not highly rated, but it was the highest rated of all video game movies, and that came out a year or 2 ago. That one wasn't too bad. I thought that was alright. Detective Pikachu is, if it is as good as people say it is, or people who have seen the early screenings say it is, then that's going to be I believe the highest rated video game movie of all time, which will definitely help to break away from the idea that all video game movies are terrible, which is kind of true. A lot of them are. A lot of them have just failed, and one of the most notorious is the Mario Brothers movie, which is absolutely nothing like the games. It just kind of had some of the characters in it, and that was about all the similarities. That was kind of ended there. But I think the Sonic movie is also helping to kind of break that mold of terrible video game movies. And I think that's really good for the future of just video games and video game movies in general, because once these come out, people start to think or start to realize that, not every video game movie is terrible. Maybe there are some good ones. And then maybe bigger companies like, Nintendo and Sega will continue making, shows or movie adaptations or something along those lines, because if they're good and they can make enough money off of it, and people realize that they're not always going to be these terrible movies, and I think it'll really work out. And I think that's really good for just the future of video game movies, which I think means that we're probably going to, in the coming years, see more and more of them compared to what we used to see, since they used to be so terrible. If you're interested, I highly suggest watching the trailer for yourself, getting your own opinion on everything. I think, like I said, it's going to be more of an Eggman movie than a Sonic movie, which I'm definitely fine with. I think I might enjoy that better than just a regular Sonic movie. But feel free, watch the trailer for yourself, read some articles, see what you think about it. And so far, we have coming out in November, so hopefully in the coming weeks, months, days, however long it is, we'll get some more trailers and stuff out about the movie so we can get a more solid opinion on it. Hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast. See you guys next time.